Hey, this is Trevor from Halifax, calling in to say that I support Creative Control on Patreon because I think long-form arts journalism is a crucial part of music culture, and there's simply not enough of it out there today. Vish is a master interviewer, he lands great guests, and he has his finger on the pulse of the ever-changing music landscape, both here in Canada and abroad. For all of these reasons and many more, I think you should support Creative Control on Patreon too.
To make your flexible monthly donation to Creative Control, please visit patreon.com/Creative Control today. I'm Vish's wife, and I will love him no matter what you do. And now he has me on the record saying that.
US Girls is the musical name for Meg Remy, a very talented American artist who calls Toronto, Ontario home. Following a lot of acclaim for and activity behind her 2018 album In a Poem Unlimited, Remy has returned with yet another artistically ambitious and moving new album. It's called Heavy Light and was released by 4AD worldwide and Royal Mountain Records in Canada on March 6th, 2020. Just ahead of the grim announcements regarding states of emergencies and measures prohibiting groups of people from gathering at things like concerts because of the COVID-19 novel coronavirus, Meg and I had an extensive conversation about her star-studded new album, its conceptual lyrics about psychology and how our relationships with our parents shape us as people, the musical choices on this record, future plans, and much more. A part of the Entertainment One Network with the support of listeners like you who subscribe to this podcast and spread the word about it and make flexible monthly donations at patreon.com/Creative Control, plus in-kind support from Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, and Grandad's Donuts in Hamilton. This is the 532nd episode of Creative Control, featuring the ingenious Meg Remy of US Girls, with your host, me, Vish Khanna. Hi, Meg. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Uh-huh.
Is it weird talking to me that we're usually, when we talk, it's at Jules Cafe?
I know. I miss Jules. I'm hungry.
I'm the same. I miss it, but we're apart. We're geographically separated, so it's not possible today. Jules is doing well, I hope?
Yeah. I mean, they're always packed. I think that they need some help in there. I would like to get in there, and because I've managed a lot of cafes in the past, and I just have some tips for them that I think I've thought many times of writing them like an anonymous note.
What if somehow they're listening? If you could say one thing to them if they were listening, what would you suggest?
The notes from me, I guess. No, they need to have two staff on. They can't have one staff on doing coffee, food, and ringing people up. It doesn't work, and it's really stressful for the one person.
Is there an actual Jules? Is there a person named Jules?
I don't think so. It's like fake French.
Oh, right, of course.
But they,
okay.
Well, I don't know what fake French, it's real French, I guess, but it's, it's just like the decor. It matches the decor. They have two locations.
Oh, I didn't know they had two locations.
Yeah, there's
I've only been
one
to one.
up on Mount Pleasant, I think.
Oh, well, it's lovely. The croissants, I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm going to pretend we're there now with the hustle and the bustle and all that.
Red walls, yeah.
Well, first of all, congrats on your new album, Heavy Light. It's unbelievable, I'd say, if you don't mind me saying.
You have to say that. We're friends. And I'm on the show.
No, I don't have to. If I don't feel, well, first of all, it's my show, so I don't generally talk to people if I don't love the thing they're making.
That's a good rule.
No, How are you feeling? I mean, I know you're just moving along in your life and you're making these things, but does this feel particularly ambitious or different from other records you've made?
I mean, it doesn't anymore. It's done for me. But at the time of making it, it was, because of just like, for me, it was a challenge to sing live. So, tracking vocals live was something I hadn't done before. So it was a lot of preparation for that, months of it. So it was, at the time, feeling really challenging. But now it's over.
What inspired the decision to track your vocals live for this particular record?
Couple things, like making Poem, which was the vocals were so labored over and so touched and just done over many months, and I just didn't want to do that again. So like kind of it was making Poem, but then touring Poem. So like the difference of doing that really labored thing, then doing the songs live where it's like you just have to do them, and how I enjoyed that so much more. And the songs came alive in a different way in the live setting, and it was interesting to see like how moving your body changes how you sing, things like this. So that was a big part of it. And then I got obsessed with Frank Sinatra for a period of time, and then I got obsessed with Shadows in the Night, that Dylan Sinatra record.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
And that's all recorded, that's recorded live with no headphones.
Yeah.
It's like so beautiful. And it was just, I just decided I wanted to do that. I also had to, I wanted to make it while still on tour. So it was like there was a week for me to do it. So it was like, we need to just do this live and get it all done.
Well, that's all very fascinating. Yeah, the Sinatra recordings and the Dylan recording that you reference, all done with the band in the room. As you said, Dylan recorded Shadows in the Night with no headphones, so there's bleed. You hear him breathing. You hear him taking breaths.
I love it. You hear his knees cracking.
Yeah, it's a very intimate sounding recording. Are you someone who previously, like you mentioned in A Poem Unlimited, I assume making a record is a kind of laborious process. You might overthink things, but when you're in the moment singing live, did this teach you about letting go? About just saying, well, that's what happened. I mean, that's all I can do.
For sure. I mean, I think performance taught me that before.
Oh, of course.
And so that I could do this, make this record this way. I just got, touring Poem just got so into performance. It's just like, is everything, and really even to an academic level of reading about it, and just it is kind of for me the best mindfulness I can get, the best in the moment, not thinking about anything but not really thinking, just reacting and being present. So yeah.
Now, in terms of vocals, you mentioned we've talked about your own vocals, but there's a particular emphasis on the voice on this record, and you collaborated with some interesting people to make that happen. Among them, Critty, your friend and mine, Critty from Toronto, and there are others as well. Could you talk a little bit about the people you collaborated with, and maybe what they brought to you and your practice and to this album? Well,
Critty, I mean, this record and Poem both probably wouldn't exist in the way that they do without Critty. Critty and Basha both. Critty, I can't remember. I think maybe 2015 is when I started seeing Critty for vocal lessons. And she came recommended through a friend, and just, we instantly became friends, not just teacher, student. And Critty is amazing because I went to her and it was, a little bit funny to be like, I'm a professional singer, but I don't know how to sing. I don't even know what you mean when you're talking about pitch. I never thought about pitch before. I had never really thought about singing. I always just opened my mouth and whatever came out came out, and that was good enough for me. But I started losing my voice. I started having some problems, and I instinctually could realize that I was like, I could do better, right? I didn't know what that meant, and I think also just my idea with the ideas for songs, I needed to have more skills in order to carry them out. So I went to Critty and stood before her and had to say, I'm a professional singer and I don't know how to sing. And she was just, her response was, you're great. We're not going to change you. We're not going to change your voice. We're going to preserve your voice and make it stronger. And she never says, oh, you're doing that wrong or something like this. She has the best bedside manner, really, for teaching the voice has got to be a delicate thing. People are so sensitive about their voices. It's so personal,
right. Yeah.
So Critty, I owe her so much, and she was just huge on preparing me to do this. I would go to her house and we would go through each song. We would break it down, where the breath goes, what's the story here, what are you trying to convey? And that was a big part of it, more so than you got to get this note right or something. It was something she said a lot. It was like, tell the story, just breathe and tell the story, get lost in that. And I was able, to do it then because of her. It was just, I'm forever indebted to her. And Basha is another one that just was so, Basha and I started working on this, I think, in the fall. What year is it? Fall 2018. Yeah.
Right.
So we were kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. And we did the Polaris thing with all the singers.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think we had maybe already were talking about the record at that point. I think the Polaris thing was kind of maybe even like a test of how getting, working with a bunch of singers. And then we started demoing. I started going to Montreal and Basha, and I started demoing stuff with Tim Kingsbury, who you also know.
Yeah.
And Basha I wrote a bunch with her. She arranged a bunch. Basha plays like 15 instruments or something, so
she's very, very talented.
We're doing
very,
these
very talented
demos, and she's like, I'll do I'll lay the bass down, and then I'll do the shakers, and then she really built the demos, and her voice too. I mean, she's singing and playing piano live on it. It's incredible. She is such good feel. I don't think she gets enough credit as an instrumentalist. I think she
certainly not.
Isn't regarded like in that way. I think she's regarded as more of a pop, singer or something, or this girl next door thing, when she's actually got nasty feel. She's so good. Mm-hmm, and she can also play any song that you say. Like, she's like a living jukebox. It's so fun. So she sang a bunch on it, and did a bunch on it. Like James Bailey, who sang on Poem 2, and he was back and just did a ton. I mean, that's the thing. Each singer, they didn't just sing; they pretty much arranged for themselves too. Critty did a bunch of the big vocal arrangements. Kind of took my demos where I had like little stock. Basha and I had put little stock backing vocals in, and she took it and elaborated on it. But then each singer would, get the demos and tailor the part to their voice. Or like Dorothea Poss, who's just insane, another insane talent. Critty, and that's the thing of working with these people too, where there's no ego. Critty's like got the job of doing some arrangements, but then she's like, I'm going to get Doro over here and just put Doro on the mic and let her go crazy, because Doro's going to have some good ideas. It was none of this. There's really no ego stuff, which is the best. So when it's everyone loses themselves to the song, right? And it's all about what's best for the song. It's not about, oh, I did this or credit or some other thing. It's just working for the song.
So you talked about how Critty suggested you tell the story of the song with your voice, and you mentioned all the ways in which Basha and other people have sort of helped with arrangements. And in terms of the lyrics, I guess the most literal aspect of the storytelling here, did anyone else help you here?
With lyrics?
Or is this yeah.
No, the only part that, well, there's a cover song, Born to Lose. I didn't write that. That's written by Jack Name, so that's his song. I just told it in a different way.
Yeah.
And the song And Yet It Moves has a Spanish translation of some of my lyrics, so that Cassie Richardson did. So Cassie is she's on Poem as well, and she's in the live band, and she's a dear friend of mine that I've known from when I lived in Philly. She did the translation, so we wrote that song together. One
of the reasons I ask is because I'm sensing a thread throughout this record, and what I'm picking up on with Heavy Light is that it seems to be a lot about parents, our relationship with our parents, our relationship with our own childhood, and there's lots of references to being born and coming up, and I think maybe some psychic pain a little bit. That's what I'm picking up on. What is any of that registering with you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that that's what the record's about. I didn't try to hide it at all.
Yeah, I know these things are open to interpretation. I appreciate you saying. Yeah. I appreciate you giving me a good mark on my thesis.
Good job.
What inspired you to take this tact with this particular album? Was something going on in your own life, or?
Oh, I think it's just where my mind's at this point, or not even. My mind is even shifting away from that now. At this point, this is where it maybe was last year or over the past few years, and I think that just comes from age, being of a certain age, being partnered with someone for 10 years now. I've never been in a relationship that long. It's, oftentimes when there's maybe, I don't know, in a relationship, it's like two childhoods dating, you know what I mean? Or like living together. You're taking these two really different experiences of how to be a human, and you're putting them in the same bed and saying, like, sort it out, basically. And that brings up a lot of stuff. I had been like enrolled in talk therapy, off and on since, I don't know, I was 14 or something, and I had last year or something started a different type of, like, a body-based therapy, somatic therapy. And that was that just kind of shifted a lot of things for me. It had become apparent to me that I'd never really ever been in my body, like, ever. And so,
what does that mean? I don't know what that means exactly. Can you elaborate?
It means that I just was so, I was and I am so cerebral. I think I process my feelings through my brain. We all do, right? But, like, I never stopped to feel my body, to say, what am I feeling? Like, actually, not just saying what my brain feels, my body feels. And, like, I started realizing things like, I trip all the time. I'm so clumsy. I'm always hitting my head. All these things. And it's like, because I wasn't embodied, and I'm still working on it. But that was, because there was so much stored in my body that I was attempting to flee from. That's why I ran upstairs to my brain and just lived there,
I see.
And I think we all have so much stuff stored in our bodies that we're fleeing from. That I think it comes out eventually, whether you want it to or not. You have to deal with it, and it often, it shows up as symptoms.
So this is stuff that you're processing on this record? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's just the record happened to coincide with processing, It's not, it's also just interesting to me. I don't know, like the more that I talk with friends and things, it's amazing how hesitant people are, understandably, to dissect their childhood or talk about their parents in a critical way. I think there's an idea that to be critical means that you're being mean or that you don't love someone or you're being disloyal, when I think it's actually the exact opposite.
Well, for some of us, and myself included, it takes a bit of trauma or fear to truly confront your relationship with your parents. I mean, for me, it was the prospect of possibly losing my mother that made me reassess this relationship. And now, if you had told me 3 or 4 years ago that I'd be ending every conversation with my mother with "I love you," I would have told you might be, a bit crazy.
Yeah.
That's not something I would normally do or say. It's not a sentiment we necessarily express to each other, but, now we do. And so one of the things that sticks out on this record is you have these vocal collages where people are, I assume I recognize Tim Kingsbury's voice, Tim from Arcade Fire, my friend, your friend, and I recognize his voice as someone, on these tracks here. There are Advice to Teenage Self, The Most Hurtful Thing, The Color of Your Childhood Bedroom. And basically, actually, can you explain what those are? All I was going to say is I reached out to Tim to be like, man, these were really moving. Hearing you talk was very moving about these very, they're kind of straightforward questions, but they just lead to so much reflection, and I can hear the pain that it dredges up in everyone's voice. But again, I haven't really... Can you characterize what these are for people and why they're on the record?
They're just prompts. They're like, almost, if you've taken a creative writing class or something, it's the kind of thing that they give you a prompt and you write for 20 minutes on that topic or whatever. I thought that was an interesting thing to do out loud. I thought it would be, for people to have to kind of instantly respond without thinking too much about it. I did a theater workshop, and my favorite prompt was the one that we had, we were given 1 minute to write on. I thought that was because I couldn't think. I couldn't sit and be like, is this a good idea? Oh, should I put this? It was just like, you kind of just had to put down whatever. She only had a minute. So I've always done like weird, little skits and interludes and things. I think that it's just my style. I don't know. I'm into it. I think it's, for me, music is, it's kind of a broad medium that I'm always trying to fit other things into. I'm deeply interested in theater, and I think I'm, these are my little attempts at a little kind of social theater. And I think they zip up the record, and that's something Max said when I gave them, and we were, because Max mixed the record, and when I gave them to him to kind of listen to with the rest of the record, he was like, this is the record now. It makes sense. It zipped it up. It's just, it's a whole picture now. And I feel that way. It's also just nice to hear voices too. There's something soothing to me about it.
Absolutely. And these, as you talk about it, when I think about the skits or the interstitial things that you place on your records, they almost always involve the human voice. They're almost always some form of dialogue or conversation. But this is different. What you've done with these these prompts, the way they come together almost conversationally is interesting. Why did you, so for those who have, do you want me to do it? I don't want to spoil anything, but basically is it fair to call them kind of vocal collage?
Yeah, they're collages.
And what prompted that approach to having these prompts are presented to these people? I can hear the hesitancy, and I can hear the kind of real deep thinking about the prompt in the answer. Like I can hear the halting kind of nature of it, but then you've mixed them so that they are together, which I think gives them a kind of galvanization. You're not alone in dealing with these feelings. Is that maybe what you were going for?
Yeah, I think also just that we have to talk over each other. It's impossible not to, because everyone wants to get in what they want to say, and I think that that's okay. And it was interesting for me when I started cutting up the dialogue, cutting up the words and moving them around in logic or whatever, like that I could listen to more than one person at once. And that was really interesting and felt very symbolic. It felt very, I don't know, a good lesson. I think that is kind of the nature of humans too, that we are going to talk over each other. And it happened kind of, the stacked quality kind of happened accidentally. I cut up everybody and I kind of placed all of this, I asked everyone the same things. So I went through and I cut everybody up and put all of those answers together for each prompt, So here's all the childhood bedroom ones, here's all the whatever. And then I accidentally, they were all on and I listened to them for a second and it was like, whoa. So it was a kind of accident I stumbled upon. It wasn't, I was initially going to kind of have people isolated and one after the other, and I was messing around with other stuff, and it was, it was interesting to hear that quickly, them all on. But then I felt that it made the space where there was no words actually more effective and kind of descriptive, having lots going on. When someone hesitates, or like you said, you hear them breathe, it's very rich. It feels as important as the words that they then say. So I think for me they're the best thing that I've ever made in music.
The vocal collages?
Yeah.
The collages are the best. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. You said that we all talk over each other, and it made me think that about the fact that I think so much of our behavior as adults is dictated by how much we felt heard as children. Does that make any sense?
Of course.
Is that something you're getting? Yeah. Do you think that's something you're getting at a little bit here? Like I'm thinking about the way you've couched communication on this record. I think that's really significant. Is that going on here? Like just being heard, being listened to, feeling like you have a voice. I feel like and I mean a lot of this, again, I don't want to get Freudian here. I'm not a psychologist, but I know a lot of this stems from the way we were raised, the way our parents treated us, the way we felt like we had agency and autonomy. And I feel like that's happening here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how to be otherwise. I don't know. I don't know. This is the meaning one of the meanings of life in my mind is, or in my life, or whatever you want to say, is this looking back in order to understand forward, basically. It's something I realized really early on, and I have found that the more I do it, where I'm really doing the hard work and challenging myself, the better I feel, actually, and the better I function and my relationships are better. My focus is able to become very sharp. I realize what matters. I think that's what's interesting about capitalism, is that it can really be the perfect kind of balm or salve for wounds, because it's always there to distract you, right? I think that because there's always something to buy or something to want, you know, and you can kind of just place that over the work that you maybe is crying out to be done. And this work doesn't pay. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are, how are you going to do this work? Say you got 3 kids and you've got a full-time job. It's like, when you're not busy, you don't want to be then digging through your body and your soul. You know what I mean? It's like you want to chill out. So it's hard. It's work that it has to be self-propelled. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times it comes out, like you said, it was your mother getting sick. But a lot of people, you know, this work comes out through something worse, like they get a DUI, or that, which I don't think is bad. I'm not judging DUI. I don't believe in laws, but like, you know, something happens and someone's forced to do this work. And that's different too. I think when it's self-propelled, when it's your idea to do it, is when it's the most, I don't know.
Do you see the record as being subdivided by themes per se? You were talking about economic disparity and classism there, among other things, and I think about $4 American, which seems to be a song about the erosion, the classist erosion of money, like a physical money, to diverting us all to plastic, which, you know, obviously some people don't have credit histories and can't do that, and this is really a war on the poor in so many ways. The next song is Overtime, which is another thing we don't think about, how much people are working, and then IOU. I mean, that is obviously that can have a financial, almost and exclusively a financial connotation. I think of your records as being very organized, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like you're thinking a lot about the sequencing and how the songs maybe relate to each other. I just cited one example there in terms of money, more or less, and capitalism. Is that accurate? Are there other things going on?
I mean, I never thought about that. Those 3 songs in a row like that being linked, or that they could be linked to that. But yeah, I'm organized. I'm a total control freak, and that's that's why I like making records or going on tour, because there's all these moving pieces that you've got to get in line in order, and then it's a big payoff when it's all running, and you're like, you can see what you did and what everyone else did, and then it's like your baby's takes its first step or something, you know. It's very yes, okay, this is what all this was for. And it's hard, you know. I wanna, you know, I'm obsessed with Bob Dylan like everybody else, and you watch these interviews of him and he's so cool and he's so mysterious and he's holding back so much, he's not giving you anything, you know what I mean? It's like I wish I could be that way, you know. I'm pretty straightforward, I'm very earnest, I'm into not hiding. I don't know. I think the themes and what I'm trying to say, it's all pretty apparent. And I got to talk, you know, I'm talking about it a lot right now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying a lot of the same things, and that feels almost embarrassing at times. Oh, why can't I be a cool person and, you know, say something clever and veiled, and, you know, it's like, yeah, well, I would have to go back and remake the record. I'd have to live a different life. I'm not really like that. So for me, the most cool has always been when you're really not cool. So I don't know.
I can see you getting tired of saying the same thing, but I think it actually reflects a certain nobility that you have a consistency of vision. I mean, if you were giving the different answers for the same question, it's on us too. If we're all asking you the same questions, then it's maybe our fault. But we all, I don't know. There's a whole other thing there about not trusting information. So
sure.
I made a point. I generally make a point of not reading. If I have to interview someone or talk to someone in this context, I don't really read the other interviews for the press cycle. I listen to the record and I kind of think of things. So if I've asked you to repeat things or say things you've already...
You couldn't know. And also, it's same for me. I don't read the stuff. I'm not going to listen to this, not because I don't like you. I'm just like, I don't do that because I wouldn't be able to then keep saying the same thing either. You know what I mean? I'd be critiquing myself too much. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. And then it's also, when you do these interviews, I mean, this is different because I don't think you edit. I'm assuming you don't edit things out of time. Like, you're not going to take what I just said and put it as the first thing. Whereas, with written articles, you don't know what the heck they're doing. Yeah. They can really make you say something you didn't say, I think. And that it's better just to not, for me, to just not engage in that stuff. But I understand why people have personas and why people kind of protect themselves and don't give it all up. Because I'm actually, I find it, because I try to be upfront and just as I don't know, I don't know what real is, but as real as I can be, it is dangerous, Mm-hmm. It's also very tiring, and you can see why people make characters for themselves.
Well, and I think they also, I mean, in Dylan's case, I don't know if you know this, I'm a Bob Dylan obsessive myself. I've written a master's thesis about Bob Dylan.
I want to read it.
I've seen him like 70 times or something since 1997.
Wow.
Every time you and I talk, we talk about some American icon like Springsteen or Dylan, and we discover we have these alignments that maybe we didn't know. You've got, by the way, Jake Clemens. Is Jake Clemens on your album?
Yeah.
Is this a Guelph-related thing? Because I recall...
It is.
You
were at
guys
that show.
Played the
Yep.
I kind of feel like I had some sway in this. I don't remember if I played a role, but Jake Clemens was playing the Hillside Festival, and I don't know what happened, but anyway, he ended up playing with you live.
Yeah.
During your set at the Hillside Festival in Guelph, and then now he's on your record. Like, how does that feel? Jake Clemens.
Yeah, he's such a crazy player. He's just so good at saxophone. It's unreal. It's really wild. Right. Met him at Hillside in the catering zone. He's amazing. And it turns out that, no, you didn't do anything. You just took some photos.
I didn't do anything, did I?
No.
I took photos. I thought there was some weird thing I did. But anyway, it's good.
No, I just walked up to him and said, listen, I've seen you play. You're such a good sax player. Do you want to come jam with us at the end of our set? We do this improvised thing. The poem band was doing like a long kind of jam out at the end of the sets, and he was a little skeptical, and who's this chick? And then he walked away. He was with his daughter. His daughter was very nice, and they walked. I ate with them and just kind of chatted at him for a while, and then he walked away, and I was like, he's not gonna come, And Max was like, no, he's going to go back to the hotel. He's going to Google you, and he's going to come. And I think that's basically what happened. Right before we were about to go on stage, he showed up with his saxophone, and he was like, yeah, let's do this. So we gave him the key of the song, and I told him I'd tell him when to come up, and he came up, and you saw it. It was great. And then it turns out he lives in Quebec, and so we're there last summer playing a festival, and Josh Daigneault, who's playing bass, is walking down the street, and he runs into Jake, and Jake's like, oh, y'all are playing tonight or whatever, and he's like, can I come play? So he showed up at the show. I think it was like Montreal Jazz Fest or something, And he showed up with his horn and came and played with us again. And then it turns out him and Cassie went to the same college, and they were there at the same time, and they went to the same house shows. They know all these similar people. So it kind of just became he just became what he is, which is just a musician, that you meet. He has all this, he carries all this weight because of, who his uncle is and the band he's in, but he's really just a shredder, like all the other shredders we know in town, So
well, he's also a gifted multi-instrumentalist. Like he plays a lot of stuff.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
so much. So it was a no-brainer to get him on the record. He's not far from where the studio was, and just called him up, and he was down, and he came, and then through that, Marika Galea, who played upright bass on the record, met him, and now she's his bass player.
Oh wow! Okay, that's great. I like when the savants convene and then they become friends. This is all great.
It was great. But yeah, it's so funny. I get asked. I mean, obviously, I get asked about him a lot, and it's really funny. It's funny how cultural capital works.
Well, it's probably a bit surreal for you to think that someone from Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is playing on your record.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I kind of feel like a troll. Well, because also I realized Springsteen had done that Jimmy Webb record.
Oh, right.
And then I got Jimmy Webb, a part of a Jimmy Webb song on the record. And I'm like, I'm ultimately, I'm like ultimate trolling Bruce. Like...
The song you wrote is Woodstock '99, and this is a nice segue into my next question, I suppose, because we've talked about Dylan, we've talked about Springsteen, we've talked about Clarence and Jay Clemens, and Jimmy Webb now came up. So I sometimes feel like you mentioned you're a very straightforward person in so many ways, and I feel like you're occasionally talking to the American songbook in your own work. We mentioned Sinatra, we mentioned Dylan as well. We've talked about a few figures. There's many instances on this record where you are, I think, deliberately and overtly kind of referencing the American songbook. And I want to ask you, I'm just going to throw them out to you and just ask you what's going on. Okay. And you can deflect if you want.
Okay.
But so we mentioned, we mentioned Woodstock 99. There is a significant reference to the song MacArthur Park, which was originally a hit song for the actor Richard Harris, and then Waylon Jennings, I think, did lots of people have done Donna Summer, lots of different versions. Why do you reference this song in Woodstock 99?
Because Woodstock 99 is about my dear friend who, until very recently, lived on MacArthur Park. Literally, he lived on the 7th floor of an apartment building that looked down on MacArthur Park. So it was, I wrote the song after I was in LA and visited with him, and we were at a diner and we had this great talk about high school and our lives, and I wrote that song on the flight home. It just kind of came out, and then when I took it to Basha, because I had it written vocally. I was singing it in my mind when I wrote it, so I took it to Basha and sang it to her, and she found the chords. We picked the chords. She would say, "Do you want this chord, this one?" And then because I said MacArthur Park in it, we started messing around. You instantly start singing MacArthur. It's like very hard not to. So then when I'm in DC doing other demos with Rich Morrell, who lives there, I play him that song, and he's like, "Oh, you got to put MacArthur Park in there. Just put it in there. You're already basically putting it in there. Like, let's just do it." And so he then picked the chords to walk down into that part to get us from my song into MacArthur Park and out again. He kind of wrote that little step down thing, and it just was like, we can't not do it. And I couldn't think of any other song that was kind of written in that form, where it's like you're kind of plopping another song in. And I know it exists, but it was so pleasing. It was just, it's still so pleasing. when we're playing it live now. It's just like to be on stage and see the moment of recognition in people's faces when they hear someone left my cake out. Like people start laughing, people start crying. It's to recognize something, to know something is always a great feeling, right?
It is conceivable that some people are hearing you sing that and it makes them think of the Weird Al Yankovic song Jurassic Park. So if they're chuckling, they're like, first of all, MacArthur Park is it has a complicated history because it was equally scorned and loved. It went to like number 2 on the charts.
It's an incredible song.
You like the song.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think it's...
I can't... it just reminds me of Weird. It reminds me of Weird Al now in my life. I don't know what that says about me. Are you familiar with his version of?
I mean, I don't remember that one, but I would say I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay, so that explains that.
Yeah.
There's a moment in Born to Lose.
Yeah.
Where you quote Wooly Bully. I believe Patty told Hattie everything to do.
Yeah.
That's Wooly. No, that's a classic American song. And by the way, I thought, we've talked about a lot of iconic figures. Are you a Patti Smith fan by chance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm, she was important to me as a teenager, for sure.
Born to Lose, your vocal on Born to Lose, to me, Patty's someone I deeply admire. Mm-hmm. I've had the fortune of speaking to her a couple times, and I've seen her perform. So she's significant to me, and I've never really thought of that through line. But when you're and I don't know, you're working with Critty, you're working on your voice. This is one of the first times where I've heard your voice in that vein, where I'm like, she kind of sounds a bit like Patti Smith. And then you say Patty told Hattie everything to do, and then Wooly Bully, which doesn't really have much to do with Patti Smith, really, but there's a couple of things going on there.
I didn't write that song. So that's a song by Jack Name that came out. I don't even know when that record came out. His first record called Light Show, maybe 2013 or something, and it's an incredible record. Jack's one of my favorite songwriters. He's got actually a new record coming out this spring that's so fabulous. But Light Show, Born to Lose, I've always been obsessed with that song of his, always wanted to cover it. And his version's complete. I mean, the original version is so different. You should check it out. It's really, really different. So, we couldn't not emphasize that line. Basha and I, when we were demoing it and stuff, it was just like, we got to double this up and sing it like Wooly Bully. How you can't not, when you're towing the line like that, you got to step over it. It's like, you might as well.
Sure. You
might as well. And it's fun. And I mean, that's mostly what I listen to. I'm a total, it's like when I find something that's modern that I like, it's like I become a super fan, and I'm like so devoted because there's not that much stuff that I'm into that comes out now. And I don't know, that's just my taste, or I've got a chip on my shoulder about modern life. I don't know what it is, but mostly I listen to music from the 50s and 60s,
Well, you tend to make room on your own albums to highlight the work of others. On your last record, in A Poem Unlimited, you rearranged a Simone Schmidt song, a songwriter that we both love from Toronto, and in this case, you've done it again. Well, what does that say about you? I mentioned, at some point that I think of you as a really like a music fan as much as you are an innovative artist in your own right. I feel like you are talking to your influences in some way when you're making records, but to actually give some space, some real estate on an album to someone else's composition, is this a thing you always want to do, or is this just happening of late?
I've always done covers, always. I think it's just, it's like when you wish you had written a song and then you can kind of act like you did. When you cover it, you get to kind of, make it yours momentarily or something. So, Rage of Plastics, that song is a movie. It is a a work of art. It's a painting. It's so, it's a play. It's, it's so, there's just no words for it. So it's just a no-brainer. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to cover that song, right? And then if it means, and I don't know, I like, especially if you're someone who's being interviewed or something, like it's kind of like a bibliography you're giving people as like a gift, check out these people.
Right.
And it might be people, I already know about that. But some people, they're like, whoa, what's Fiverr? This is amazing. Now I have this whole other discography to go through, of someone else's work that's going to lead them to what's Fiverr going to lead them to? I don't know. Maybe Jennifer Castle. Maybe, we're all on this tree. It's like family music tree. And there's so much to find. And I think, it's your job to kind of send people down the branches.
Well, the last reference I want to ask you about is from State House, It's a Man's World, which by my reckoning has the Be My Baby drum beat. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it actually comes from that song, the original version of it that Max and I did years ago. It is actually has a drum beat from another girl group song, like a one hit wonder. But whatever, that drum beat is, it is what it is. It's so recognizable, and most people, it comes from that Be My Baby. I
just wondered if that was deliberate in any way, given some of the themes on the album. I know you're a music fan. I just wondered.
I mean, that song changed my life. Be My Baby changed my life. It's
a very distinctive
and then He Kissed
drum beat,
Me,
right?
Like all that Phil Spector stuff, which I didn't know was Phil Spector stuff when I was a kid. They're just the songs on the radio. Those were always my favorite songs, and my mom's favorite songs. And, Be My Baby, it was, that song that changed, that song changed my life. It still gives me goosebumps. It still resonates with me.
So there might have been some deliberation in choosing this beat in this instant, for this version of the song.
Well, it was in the first version. That song was on a record I put out in 2010. So we just reworked it. So I mean, that was a decision that was made in 2010 because I was still I'm still in my girl group phase. That's never gonna end. I mean, that's my favorite music. It's something I've been incorporating from the beginning of this project. When I started this project in 2007 or 6 or whatever, like that form, that girl group, that pop form, and then making it say things that those songs never said.
Right.
You know?
So sort of bringing them into the new world, so to speak.
Yeah.
Did you know Ronnie Spector was on my show?
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I love her.
Some years ago. It was a bit kind of a crummy phone connection, but unless I'm making this up and I dreamed it, which is possible. She was on the show. Yeah, she was. It was fun and it was a thrill, and it's always a thrill to talk to you. If I have to say it. If I might, I don't have to say it. I appreciate your time and going through this record. Was this useful in any way? I feel,
man.
Was it helpful? Does this help?
Everything. I love talking to you.
Just wondering, sometimes you've been open about the kind of like hamster wheel you get in when you're on a promotional cycle.
No,
so I worry.
I am relaxed talking to you. That's nice. I don't know about what if it helped me. It didn't hurt me.
Okay.
Say that.
That's helpful. That's helpful.
I'll talk to you again.
So the record is called Heavy Light, which we didn't really get into. Why is it called Heavy Light? I don't mean to be so heavy-handed in my questioning, but I didn't even ask you that. Why did you call it Heavy Light?
It comes from a Kafka aphorism that Max and I got Max's Kafka book. It's just aphorisms translations of his aphorisms, and it's one that we both, earmarked the page, and it resonated for both of us. And it's a faith like an axe, as heavy as light. So it was, it's something that he and I talk about a lot, and something that I am constantly meditating on and working towards, which is, how to make heavy things light and light things heavy, give meaning to when there's not much, and maybe shelf meaning when there's too much, so you're not carrying it around all the time, and how to find the blessing in trauma. Is that possible? I found that it is. It takes a lot of work, and it takes really kind of stretching your mind, and it feels wrong at first. But I've really found that, everything that I've experienced, particularly traumatic things or what you would call a bad thing, those things really shaped me and made who I am. And I would not be the same person if those things hadn't happened to me. So would I want to take them away? I'm not sure, And you can't now anyway. You can't undo things. So if you can't undo something, what do you do with that? How do you carry forward with it? And so it's just the title's relating to that duality, the yin yang. All these things. And when I did the cover, shot the cover with Jeff Burke and Viva, like that image, that was the image. We got it. It was like, this is the one. And it looked like heavy light to me.
The image is of you and a child?
Yeah.
Who is the child?
Viva, my dear friend.
She's your dear friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't understand that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a significant cover image given some of the themes that I was picking up on the record, and what we've discussed about, being a child, being an adult, being a parent, your relationship with your parents. I feel like that is all captured potentially in that image.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, the record's wonderful, as I've said. I want to thank you for it. If people want to learn more about Heavy Light, where would you direct them on the computers and the phones?
Google.
I know you don't Google. It's on it's on what, 4AD and Royal Mountain Records, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you haven't yet hit the road. You'll be hitting the road?
Yeah, April 4th, we have our first show in Detroit, and we're doing the whole US, and then we come back. We play Toronto, I think it's like May 15th or something. We play Vancouver somewhere in April. I don't know. Ask Google. Okay. Yeah. Ask Google. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And are you going to bring, is it the same band you had for Poem? Or is it different band. Some returning players, but different. Yeah, we got Evan Cartwright on drums, Ed Squires on percussion, Jordy Gordon on keys and vocals. Jordy. Max on keys, guitar, vocals. Carlin Bezic from Ice Cream on bass and singing. Dorothea Poss on guitar and singing. Cassie Richardson on percussion and singing, and then I'm singing. So big band again, 8-piece band. And it's good. We did 3 shows last month, and it's a hot band. Will you come to Edmonton, Alberta? I'd like to. I'm trying to, I want to do a Canadian tour. I've never crossed this land fully and done all the towns, and I really wanted to do it on the last record, and it didn't work out, and so I'm hoping it's going to happen this time. We played Edmonton once, but yeah, okay, so it's possible. Yeah. Are you? I haven't talked to anyone on the show about this yet. Is the COVID-19 stuff, coronavirus, giving you pause as festivals are canceled and people aren't traveling? The tour might be canceled. I don't know. We're not flying. We're driving the whole way, and I'm not scared of it. Okay. I'm not. To me, it's But that's the thing. I don't read the news, so I'm not.
Right.
If I read the news, I'd probably be scared, right? Because
I think
they're
you might be better
blowing,
off.
they're blowing it up so much. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna die. So if it's gonna be by Corona, then so be it. But yeah, it's real. I mean, I know they just canceled South by, and it's like,
It's
pretty interesting. So we'll see.
Well, I know you're tough, and I think your philosophy is true. We all gonna go sometime. Ideally, we wouldn't, but yeah.
I don't think that
well,
ideally. I would not. I don't want to live forever. I don't get that.
Well, I mean, ideally, it wouldn't be happening at a time when you don't want it to happen. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a point in our lifetimes where, like, you know what? I'm kind of done. I don't need to do this anymore.
That's what Max always says. He's like, he wants to get old and then and be like, can't wait to die. Like, like done. I'm done with this. Exactly. We'll see.
Well, I'm glad we're ending on such a cheery note.
Yes.
Is there a song from Heavy Light that you would suggest we go out on?
Woodstock 99, man.
Woodstock 99. Why did that come to mind?
Because that's my favorite song on the record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like that. We talked about it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear that then. This is Woodstock 99 by U.S. Girls. Meg, thank you so much for being back on the show and your time and consideration, and I wish you the best of luck with everything going forward.
Thanks, Vish. Thanks for having me.
You've got your mother and I got mine. Slept with yours at the very same time as I, seeking comfort from the bodies we were once inside. True isolated mother and child, where were you in 99? First year of a 4-year daddy time, yeah. You were sleeping through school, but not me. I did all my work just like you should. You watched it all on pay-per-view. Stationary cameras giving you a private view. What does it say about us? Our mothers, their TVs, and our looks. What does it say about us? Our mothers, their TVs, and our looks. What does it say about us? Our mothers, their TVs, and our looks. What does it say about us? Our mothers, their TVs, and our looks. Someone left my cake out in the rain, and I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took so long to make it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Somewhere no one wants to get old. On the 7th floor you look below to the park where you took me on that protest walk. There's really something about MacArthur Park. Now you live somewhere no one wants to get old. On the 7th floor you look down to that park. There's really something about MacArthur Park. No one wants to get old. On the 7th floor you look below to the park. You took me on that protest walk. There's really something about MacArthur. Now you live somewhere no one wants to get old. On the 7th floor you look below to the park. You took me on that protest walk. Something about MacArthur.
Very special thanks to Meg Remy of U.S. Girls for appearing on this, the 532nd episode of Creative Control, which is part of the Entertainment One podcast network and available on all podcast platforms. All of them. That's the extra long all for covering all my bases. iOS, Android, YouTube, Audio Boom, Spotify, Stitcher, all the things. Whatever you listen to your podcast on, the show is hopefully there. If you can't find an episode that you've been, someone told you about, maybe it's too old and it's not part of the feed on any of those things, but it's, you know where it is, it's on my website. And we know what else is on my website? Information about me, and also information about signing up for my newsletter. I just sent out a newsletter, so if you want to be a part of that, go to vishkhanna.com to learn more about that. Also, please visit my Patreon, patreon.com/creative control, to make a flexible monthly donation to keep this podcast going. There's now a $6 or more tier that gets you exclusive access to my audio archives from past interviews I've done that have nothing to do with creative control. And I just actually, because I recently, as you're listening to this, I recently posted a fresh interview with Caribou from 2020. Well, went into my archives and found one from, I think, 2010. So I posted that on Patreon. And for people who pledge or donate $6 or more, boom. Boom. So there you go. I hope you will go to patreon.com/creative control and keep this show going. I'd like to thank Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, Planet Bean Coffee, and Grandad's Donuts for their in-kind support for this show. And also to my friend Jim Guthrie for letting me use some music of his on the program. You can learn more about Jim at jimguthrie.org. Thanks again to Meg Remy for being on the show, and thank you. Thank you for listening to this show and subscribing to it, and maybe suggesting your friends do the same. It means a lot. I will hopefully talk to you very soon. I hope you're all doing as well as you can, given what's going on in the world with this coronavirus, COVID-19. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but just stay healthy, be mindful of others. That's all I can say. I'm doing my best to do that in self-isolation. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for listening to me and the show. I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.